Chris Level here with another edition of Pirate Talk. My man Chip Darden, the head coach of the Lubbock Cooper Pirates, and it's been a minute since we've last spoke with you, Coach. It feels like it's literally. I mean, it's been what, I don't know, 13 days, something like that since we did one of these, and that Wichita Falls Rider game feels like it happened back in July.
Yeah.
I don't know, but what an unbelievable game that we can recap here. So I'll just kind of give you the floor here, and
it has been, and kind of getting back to it. This week, Monday, it was just funny to see it with the kids. Like, we kind of getting back into the routine, almost like you're starting the season over. And I think playing that on a Thursday night, I know it's just one day, but it just seems like there's a difference there when they have school Friday after that game, and then we've got the open week. So we're ready to get back on a routine. But, yeah, it was the kids and the focus for us all week was just how we prepared for that game. And the Monday, which for that game, Monday through Wednesday. And I thought our kids, we could tell right off the bat on Monday that they came in and were, locked in is what we've been using the phrase. But they were locked in from the get-go. They wanted to win. And I think it translated, on Thursday night there in Wichita Falls.
I was just trying to think as you said this, because there's no more routine-oriented sport than football. Basketball games are all over the place. Baseball games can kind of be your tournaments, and it's just kind of track meets. It's spaced out enough. Football teams, players, coaches, it is week by week. Monday looks like this.
Yeah.
Tuesday looks like this. I mean, and all that. So even on a short week, and then you get a bye week, and it felt just like I'm all out of routine.
Yeah.
I'm all out of sorts.
It's
what am I
funny.
supposed to be doing right now?
Yeah, and then it was a short week last week with school. Kids didn't have school on Friday, and those weeks, especially when we don't have a game, seem really long. Like, man, just Friday could not get there.
Yeah.
So, we're glad to be back on a routine. But no, that was a big win for us. Obviously, we needed after the two games before, and we've talked about those, I know. But kind of different scenarios. But we also didn't think we've played our best game yet, and I would probably say Rider was our best game. They're a really good team, really talented team, and it was nice to put it all together and execute at a high level.
I think it's not that you won, it's how you won. That was because, it was your kids played with purpose. I mean, you kind of commanded the game, and we'll get into some of the offensive highlights, but it was the defense that just set the tone. It looked like Rider just couldn't get anything going at all. And it made it look like they were not a team that is very good on offense, which is not true.
Yeah.
And they have really good athletes, but it's a credit to Coach Lakeman and the defensive line. I wanted to ask you about a couple of guys. We don't talk enough about some of the defensive guys on your team, and like it's like the Hayden Barretts, the Kolkataras, they stuck out in this game. But two guys in particular, Vinny Sipowicz, who I think has been a really bright spot for your team this year.
Absolutely.
Maybe leading tackler on the team,
if
memory
right.
serves, I think. And I think he's just a ball of energy.
Yep.
I mean, long, rangy kid on the edge. And then, I think Cole Stanzione, right there in the middle linebacker, is just a solid, keeps everything in front of him, and just he's a very sure tackler. But they just couldn't get anything going. They have elite level skill players.
Yeah, and I think those two, the word that you used is spot on about Vinny and Cole, is just consistent. And Vinny maybe is leading us in tackles, and Cole's right up there too, but it's not like so far they hadn't had a 19 tackle game or anything, but they're just 9, 10 every single game. You look at it. They're fitting the run very well. Vinny's playing really physical. He had a personal foul on a third down that we were about to get the ball back, and kind of live, it looks dirty, like it looks like a play, and you're kind of, we're kind of getting after him a little bit, and then you go look at the film, and really he's kind of doing what he's taught, but the ball, he had turned, the ball was thrown, he couldn't see where the ball was, so it just looked different, in the stands, but we saw it on film. He's just playing physical, and that's kind of been his deal this year. He is just playing physical. When he gets somewhere, he's making something happen. And that rover spot, that's a spot that people know Kyle Lewis played a few years back, and it's in a really important spot. in the 4-2-5, which is what we base out of, and we run different schemes. But if you've got a guy there that can play like Vinny's playing right now, it just allows our defense to be really good.
Because he's positionless.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, he's a I guess the new age term is hybrid.
Right.
He's a
And there's some, that's the thing. There's some that will personnel that guy that's an outside linebacker, that's a sandbacker, and then there's some that'll personnel that like a nickel. When you've got a guy like Vinny that can really be both, that's when you got a chance of being pretty good. But there's a lot of guys on that defense that are playing well. And I talked to Coach Lakeman. I think it was Wednesday before we played, and I'd been nervous. I've been nervous about us stopping the run. I mean, you mentioned how talented they are. Their offensive line every year is kind of the same. Like they're not, maybe as big as like Friendship's offensive line, but they take good steps. They're really physical, and then you had the backs that they had. I mean, they worried me a lot. And Coach Lakeman came in, kind of, "You good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just worried. I don't know if we can get them off the field." And he said, "We're good. We're good. We're gonna stop them." Like he knew the plan was good. The kids executed it, and
you were missing a few key guys
we were.
as well. Yeah.
I think another name to mention is Josh Alvarado.
Okay.
He's a senior that man, he does all of it right. He was last year's scout team was his role. He was a great scout team player, and this senior year he's been asked to do a little bit more. And I thought he had a good game, and still a long ways to go with all of them, but thought he had a good game.
I felt like once I knew the result, and I watched this whole game at home. I fortunately couldn't be there, but I think you ultimately won the game. It was one of two things where you and I want you to correct me here. If you tell me where you thought, okay, I think we're in really good shape here. The last drive of the first half,
Yep.
Jaden Hibler bounces a 50-yard run, sets you up in red zone situation. You run the double pass, touchdown, goes up 21-0. Right?
Yep.
Okay. It's either right then you're like, okay, this because right before halftime you really take a lot of momentum, or is it coming out of the locker room when they hit the long pass and then you cause a fumble and then you have the ball?
So that's the debate. That's the debate in the coach's office.
Okay, see, I didn't know that, but I mean,
Yeah.
at that point, that's where you feel like, I mean, okay, we've got them.
Yeah, we give a game changer award every week, and that was kind of the deal. The offensive staff there's no doubt it's Malik Epps-Keller and Sam Marcinkowski. That was the play of the game. And
love that play,
defensive
by the way.
staff is like, no, it's right after half when they're about to drive it. So they all got it.
Okay.
And I think they were. I think Jaden's play to set it up, because 2 minutes left. We're kind of backed up. Going to be fairly conservative unless we get some yards, and that's talked about on the headset, constantly. And he breaks one, and so now it's immediately we're going to try to score. It was such a long run, we really didn't have to rush. We had timeouts, so it was kind of nice. Thought our guys handled all that well on how to manage the clock down there at the end. But yeah, during a timeout, we knew we had that play. We'd worked on it, and just thought it was the moment that touchdown would be really big. And then Hayden Barrett and Cole Katara. Hayden was the one, and Hayden, we've been on him a little bit this week because he maybe gave up the pass, but then that's playing hard. He had the wrong read, but then instead of giving up on the play or pouting about it, he busts his tail and goes and makes a play. And the guys have we try to have this mentality that we're going to play hard. We're going to make a play just like Hayden did, where he's going to be full speed and go, and he may not make the tackle. The guy may outrun him all the way to the end zone. It's a touchdown for Ryder. You're not playing hard because you're going to make the play. You're playing hard because that's what you do. And then sometimes the play is going to happen just like it did. And anyway, and then we hit him with a quick change right after that and threw it to Michael Deaver and got down. Anyway, it was a 14-0 game that I would bet in a matter of about 4 minutes of game time turned into 28-0.
You a LeBron fan? Me neither. Okay, but
I mean, he's really good, but he's like third best all time.
There was a play that he had in the finals several years ago where he is chasing somebody down from behind and he blocks it up off the backboard.
Yep.
Same
play.
deal. And it's teaching tape for what you just talked about.
Right.
Like this is one of the best players that's ever played. I'm not the biggest fan, but I mean, it is what it is. And he's just making a hustle play.
Right.
And and this is what you teach your kids is I thought that kind of play is what culture is about right there.
Yeah.
I mean, because it could have been like, oh man, somebody else will. tackle him or get it. It's like when the quarterback throws an interception and then they just hopefully somebody else will tackle him.
Right.
And they, you know, I mean,
And 9 times out of 10, it may run him down and just it's a tackle and it's 1st and 10, and you doesn't matter. It's just what you do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And how you do it,
Yeah.
for sure. The least surprising thing in this game to me is that, shocker, Jaden Hibbler and Jackson Austin ran the ball both very well.
Yeah.
But I thought, as I'm watching it, this was where the option really kind of got unleashed, and I didn't think Ryder had any idea what to do to stop it.
Yeah, and that was I was careful to say that on our last episode here. Just didn't want stuff getting out. But that was a really big focus of ours. We felt like week 1, our option game went pretty well, and then week 2 and 3, Friendship and Wiley, we really couldn't get it going, and there was a whole bunch involved there on, and some we were running it some that we were getting different reads that we weren't pitching it, but that was a focus of ours. We needed to get it going, so I was proud of our guys for that. We were a little worried about the weather, there was a chance of rain and that affecting how we ran the option, but executed it at a high level. I think the offensive staff did a good job on their game plan, and but then the kids just executed it. And one of the deals, their defensive ends were really good, and we thought at times it'd be better to read them instead of block them, and that's kind of a
make a
thing.
choice.
Exactly, they can't be right. So that was part of it, but yeah, we executed it well, and I think you can see when you get number 12 and number 1 out in space a little bit that they've got a chance. And heck, sometimes Jackson wasn't even out in space; he's in the middle of them, and you think it's a 3-yard gain, and it turns into 25, and he's running really. I think he like 15 yards a carry or something the other night.
Yeah,
so
he is so much fun to watch run the football because he has a good eye, and Jaden is too. They're both a bit different but the same, but. I don't know. It's just fun watching them on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And then
I sorry if I cut you off there, but I thought another key was our efficiency in the passing game and downfield. That was
13 or 14, I think, total.
I believe that's something like that.
Well, and one of the best catches I've ever seen in a high school game.
Yep.
I mean, one-handed. I mean, he's getting interfered with Michael Deaver. Just unbelievable. I mean,
and we see that almost every day in practice, and he's got unbelievable hands. But that was a downfield play. We hit a few that were just vertical shots that I think were important that we didn't do for sure against Abilene Wiley. That's on me 100%. Like we've got to be more aggressive with some of that. So that just opens a lot of stuff up when we can push the ball downfield a little bit, and we were just really efficient with our passing game.
Yeah, and obviously Ryan Rodriguez with a lot of those throws. I don't know, is the correct term, did he moss him?
Man,
I think
that's above me.
That's one
of
those young. Yeah, I think that maybe was when you go way up and all that stuff. But anyways, it was just an unbelievable one-handed catch. I'm trying to keep up with the times here, folks. Yeah, 488 total yards to 185. Kind of sums up how well you guys were on offense and how well Coach Lakeman's group was on defense.
Yep.
This rivalry is over. You finish up against Ryder 8-2, so in some ways it's really not a rivalry, but you've played them so much, you have the utmost respect for them. Because typically rivalries, to be fair, it's even, it's balanced, and you guys get the better end of that deal. Is there one of these wins of the 8 that maybe sticks out more than the other? I know you love them all equally. It's like children. Yeah. Is there any one of them that like when you'll years from now think about this series that, man?
Can I pick 2?
Sure. There's no rules here.
2 that stick out would be in 2019. So first year we played them was in 18. We beat them in district. Didn't know much about them. We beat them at home. Just kind of I don't know, nothing to it game. Probably the least memorable for both sides. And then in the playoffs, they get us, and that was just a big deal. The regional finals, we were 13-0, and they beat us by 3. So to come back the next year in 2019, we go to their place. I think it was a Thursday night as well, and it was like 45-17. We played really well. Thought it sparked us, and went to the semifinals that year. And so that's one. And then number 2, the COVID year, we played them the day after Thanksgiving. This was a district game because the season was bumped back so late. But played them the day after Thanksgiving. They had a 24-7 lead. I could go through a million plays in that game that turned it, but one, they're up 24-7, first and goal at like the 2-yard line. I mean, they're just about to run away with it. Garrison Smitherman strips the ball, we get it back, and then we just kind of fight our way back and end up scoring with about 20 seconds left. We go for 2 and beat them by 1. Rylan Wilcox gets in for the 2-point. That one was pretty fun. day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy belated Turkey Day
Yeah.
on that one. I remember that one very, very well. And you went for two, like to try to win it. But if you don't get it, it's going to overtime or you're losing.
We'd be kicking an onside to
Oh,
try
okay,
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I told you I was going to ask you this, but everybody's got a bye week. Okay, and you do with it what you hope to get out of it. You try to make the bye week productive. You try to win it, if you will. I'm guessing, though, this was not like your favorite time to have the bye week. You didn't get to pick it, but you were probably ready. And it's a credit to how your kids played. You're probably ready to roll.
Yeah, it's tough when you walk off that field and you're going, man, let's go. Let's play tomorrow. Let's keep it rolling. At the same time, I think our kids mentally needed it.
Okay.
You know, the you can do it with every game. Riders a rivalry game. Week 1 against Dumas is week 1 is always mentally, strenuous. And then you had the 2 games that we had with Friendship and Wiley. I think they needed it. I think they needed the mental break. Physically, yeah, I think we were ready to roll and felt good, but needed that mental break. And I think it was good. I think the kids handled it well. We've said that a lot, that the good teams, they get better during the open week. They don't just coast. They don't just go through the motions. They get better. I think we got better.
So next up, speaking of unbelievable endings and games and all that, you play Coronado. Last year was one of the wildest games I'd ever been a part of, especially the ending. Ended on a 50-yard field goal by Cub Patton. I think you won 15-14, I think is right.
Normal football score.
Yeah, and that game was a grind. And there were times when it didn't look very good for the old Pirates, but you guys figured out a way, maybe got a blocked punt. Maybe it wasn't really blocked. I don't know. But then it just kind of started to set up a few things and set you up with a field goal opportunity. Do you still remember that game well?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, when you go back and look at the film, which we do, we go back and look at previous years' film, especially if coaching staffs are the same and kids are the same. You kind of compare. And I think I said it to our staff. We set offensive football back about 50 years in that game. That was that wasn't our best performance. They had a lot to do with it, but it wasn't a good game plan. It wasn't a good execution, and it was on their part. But we say it a lot. Let's win a game. The W is what matters. Offensive stats, 488 yards to 150. That's great if we're on the winning side of it. If we're on the losing side, then those stats don't really matter. So
because it may have looked that way against Abilene Wiley,
right?
Close to it.
Correct.
And, you didn't get the result.
Yeah.
By the way, what is it with you guys scoring 34 points?
I don't know.
That's wild to me. Yeah. Score 34 points, three games in a row. Yeah, strange.
But I will say last year our defense just kept us in it, and kind of similar to what I was saying about that Rider game where it was about out of hand. They blocked one of our punts. I think at the time it was a 14-5 game maybe. They block a punt of ours, so they've got it first and goal at the 5 and 0 points. We hold them out, and then they miss a field goal. I think that was a turning point of the game because kind of the same situation. They probably score, go for 2, and you might be out of it at that point, especially the way we were playing on offense. So defense kept us in it, and that's the goal in every game. However, it's got to be done, and we kind of say we win with defense, and we'll continue that.
Do that.
Yep.
Yeah, they obviously graduated some really good players. Their quarterback, Jet Carroll, John Curry, the linebacker, and then Cam Manahan, just an unbelievable DB. But this is still a really good Coronado team. They started off the season 0-3. Now they've won 2 in a row. They got a little momentum, and they're ahead of you in the district standings because they have a win over Caprock. But take me through the Coronado team this year that you guys will see.
I think what's different from them than years past is they're a little bit of youth, and whether it's not like freshmen and sophomores only, but just youth starters, guys that hadn't been starters or maybe significant players. So when you see that, there's going to be a learning curve, and you can just see them getting better every week. And they're super talented. They look the part. They're big, and I think they kind of like we like to do. They win with defense, and they play really good defense, and they have for a while. Coach Roy over there does an awesome job, and that staff just puts them in great positions. They get to the football, they stop the run, and so that's number one. And then on offense, they're a challenge because they have got guys on the edge that are so good. I mean, number 12, the Garrett kid he's been. I feel like he's been there forever. Maybe it's just been a few years, but feels like he's about an 8th-year senior. just really talented. Quarterback situation. Quarterback got hurt last week.
In the
Don't
first
know.
quarter, yeah.
Don't know if he's going to play. We're kind of planning on seeing both of them. And the one that came in, man, he's about 6'4", 220 pounds. Can run it. Can throw the deep ball really well. So I was impressed with when the quarterback went down. They've struggled a little bit early, but starting to pick it up, and then the quarterback goes down. That can be hard for a team. That can be a hard situation. You go, well, we finally got it figured out, and now look, and shoot, they just didn't skip a beat and just kept playing and kind of rallied. And so I was just impressed. I thought that was a good thing for their team to show that they can play with anybody. And they got a little pressure off of them, being 1-0, getting district off, started off that way. So.
Because there's not that many district games.
Right.
So every one of them that you can get or every one that you drop is,
significant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you prepare differently for either one of these quarterbacks? And who you're talking about is Isaiah Vasquez is the one that got dinged up, and then I think Don Parrish is the young man that came in relief.
Yeah, no, I mean a little bit. The Parrish kid, the one that came in, he downhill runner. He's just bigger, physical, but we. Not a whole lot. I mean, there's some tweaks with what we've done and kind of talked about doing, if kind of on either scenario. But they've got a scheme on offense. I mean, they got a system. So we got to prep for the system and then adjust as needed.
And this is going to be Friday night, Lowry Field, Plains Capital Park. It's Coronado's homecoming, so be it a bit of an extended halftime with a little pomp.
Oh, we didn't know that.
Yeah, a little pomp and circumstance. Yeah, you knew that. And your homecoming will be next weekend. There at Pirate Stadium. So the one of the biggest things I think about a bye week is you try to get back in the routine, and I know you'll want to try to get in the rhythm early and all that, but this is an important game for you. I mean, it really is, because it's your first district game, like we just talked about. So you want to make sure that that you a lot of focus on this one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It obviously want to beat Ryder. We want those 4 non-district games. They matter. I mean, kids have an opportunity to play a limited number of high school football games. We treat them all. We want to win every one of them. We prep for it, but at the same time, it doesn't matter at this point. So this is the biggest game of the year by far. And you mentioned it starting fast. I thought that was something that we did last year against Coronado. Is we just didn't start the game fast. It was like we came.
It carries over.
And you're coming off of that open week and a little sluggish, little kind of going through the motion, and then when it's time to turn it on, it's too late. So it's been a point of emphasis that we're going to try to start fast, and you can't just talk about it. You've got to practice it, and that's been a focus this week.
Yeah, there's an old saying about like the whole turn it on thing just is a myth, right?
Right.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's like you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's like one of those deals. Okay, 3 things. We always wrap up with this. Some fun ones. I got a movie one. I got a food one, and then I got one that'll make you go.
I'll be way better about food.
Hold on.
But.
Well, football movies.
Okay.
3 things. Your 3 favorite football movies.
My 3 favorite. I'm a big fan of Rudy, obviously. I think that one's just got to be on everybody's. I'd say Rudy, Friday Night Lights, and then sneaky one, The Program.
Hey,
Program's good.
Hey.
You got it on there or what?
I'm gonna circle them because I've got all of your choices on my list.
Yep.
Those
are good. And there's others, like I can see your list. Obviously, Remember the Titans is good, and
yeah, I mean, and there's some of them that are just, I think, pretty poor.
Yeah.
I went to Any Given Sunday on Christmas with an entire family, and my wife's grandparents. There was a locker room scene in there.
Yep.
And my wife's grandparents stood up and walked out, and I thought, I'm never going to hear the end of this.
That's good.
And the cast is just loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like got all the people,
I know.
like Pacino and Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx, and
it's just not very good.
It's just not a good movie. It's just not. Yeah, the Sharks. I forgot what was the name of the team. Whatever. Anyway, it was terrible. Varsity Blues is a good one.
Varsity Blues is good. I might sub that in there. Yeah, it's maybe 3B.
Longest Yard is a good one. Although Blindside, Draft Day, The Water Boy. Anyway, I thought it would be fun. Okay, 3 things.
No, I'm out on Adam Sandler, but go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Which is Longest Yard and I guess Water Boy too.
Yeah.
3 things that you spend way too much time worrying about.
Oh man.
That is this, like I spend way too much time worrying about this. It's very unproductive for me. Do you have anything that I mean it could be anything?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. And it's easy to say it right now that I'm in the moment of this, but there's a lot of stuff just what we're doing that we have no control over, whether it be the weather, officials, the buses, and all that stuff that I feel like occupies. So there's three things right there that occupies my mind, and it's. Man, we just need to have fun and coach kids and be in the moment, be right now. And if something happens and it's bad weather for Friday night, then we'll adjust when we get there. But I spend a lot of time worrying about that stuff.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm
and it goes back to what you talked about with football. Like it's so like here's what we're doing, here's what we're doing, and then all of a sudden you've got lightning delay on Tuesday and practice, and now we got to adjust. But
yeah. And I admit I'm just like you too, because when I get thrown off, it like throws me in a bit of a tizzy. I'll admit I like mental toughness because I don't deal with it very well.
This is gonna sound like I'm bragging, I guess, but I tend to not really worry in general. That question's hard for me.
But you seem like it pretty much just rolls off and like all that. Now maybe you're like the duck on the pond that's like just smooth, but just paddling like crazy underneath.
Maybe.
So maybe you hide it well.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. And then here's the fun one. Fair in town this week. We did something similar with this last year, but your three favorite fair foods.
Maybe I hope my wife's not watching.
If I give you a 20
really
spot, if I give you a 20 spot and you've got to spend it on the food, you're going to what three booths? You're pulling in what?
Yeah, I'm pretty lame. Like I'm just pretty like average on a lot of stuff. Like I'm gonna get a corn dog.
Well, that's not. Yeah,
I mean, I just feel like that's the typical
the layups,
the typical answer. Yeah. I'll tell you this. I'm gonna go. It's not food. It still should count though. I'm gonna go get one of those homemade lemonades. Those are legit. I'm a fan of that. And then I don't mind
are you a sweet tea guy?
I used to be, but
okay. Just don't watch them pour the sugar in that lemonade when they're making the big vat in the back, because you'll be like,
I'm out on that.
Okay, yeah. But,
and then something fried, like a fried Snickers or a fried, one of those
Twinkie, Snickers, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's $20
well
well spent. That's a meal, folks. That's what you
Sure.
just heard right there.
Yeah.
Corn dog, lemonade, and a fried something.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't beat it. I can't figure out why I can't lose weight. It's weird. But anyway.
Yeah. Same. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one. So, Coach, Friday night, 7:00. District game again should be a lot of fun there. Coronado, the Pirates, and all that. So it's always fun when these. I know you think a lot of Coach Mann and the job that he does over there. So it should be a good one, man.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We like playing over there. It's always a good atmosphere, and we're expecting a big crowd. And appreciate. That was one thing I thought at Ryder. That's a hard place to travel to as fans, and then on a Thursday night, that was tough. I was proud of our fans and our band, cheer and palm. Like it was just a good atmosphere for us on that Thursday night, and I know we'll have that Friday as well.
And I will say this, the guy behind the camera back here and his crew brought it to Lubbock, Texas for all the people that couldn't be there. My man Colton Coons and his folks did a phenomenal job. I was able to be on the sitting at home side of things, which I didn't want to be, but I was glad to be. I could watch it, and it was just fun to watch, especially thanks to Coach Darden and his guys. So, all right, we'll see you next week. See you Friday night at Lowry Field.